What's up, guys? So I've been kind of dreading this day for a long time, put it off as much as I could. Today we are changing out the gray water valves. Alright guys, so pushed off this day a long time. I figure I got the time to do it. Let me go ahead and knock it out. Hopefully nothing goes wrong while I do it. Today we're going to change out the gray water and the black water valves. I have a very special situation here that we have to take a look at, and I'll show you. And I have to do things in a certain order. You have to do things in order anyway when you change those valves out, but I have to do mine in a specific order, a special order because of my scenario. So let's just take a look at the scenario. Alright guys, what you're seeing in front of you right now is my sewer hose, my gray water valve, and my black water valve. Okay? Here's the special scenario I was speaking about. As you can see here, I have a valve closed for the black water valve here, which works. I haven't tried to close it again, but it opened fine. And as you can look here, my gray water valve was a little different. There's a piece missing here. The gray water valve, luckily me, was broken in the open position. So that valve is always open. If I can close my black water valve, I'll go inside and I'll flush water down the kitchen sink. And hopefully I'll try to flush out any black water that's gotten in here. Because this thing is open all the time, I'm pretty sure that when this comes through, it's probably back flushing in here some. So I'm going to try to flush out as much of that as possible and get as much of the black water, soot and whatever in here out, so that when I take this out, it won't be much of a big problem. Now, I'm going to have a 5-gallon bucket up underneath this valve with a bag in it, so that when I open up this valve, if it proceeds to leak, it'll leak into that 5-gallon bucket with the bag and not onto the ground, because that would just be unsightly. Okay, so a couple things that you want to know right off the bat, guys. Safety first. Whenever you're working with the black water hose, the gray water, the black water valve, any of that stuff that has to do with the sewer lines, you always want to wear protective gear. And I'm talking about, you want to wear safety glasses. I will have glasses on, so I'll be fine. You want to wear rubber gloves. Disposable if you want, but I like the reusable gloves. They're just a little tougher. And you want to have some type of bag or something to catch any of the loose liquids that fall up under there. I don't know when the last time this was ever changed. If you guys looked, and I'll go back down there and I'll show you real quick. The nuts on these guys were actually rusted shut, or they're rusted. I sprayed some WD-40 on it a couple of days ago, and I may do the same thing again here and wait a few minutes and try to loosen it. But it's been a while since those nuts have been changed. So the valves that I'm putting on there, I'll show those to you in here in a little bit, are going to be brand new. So let's go inside and well, before we go inside and take a look, let me show you the valves themselves. Alright guys, I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at these nuts here, right here and right here, they are freaking rusted. And the black water is no different. Same way. So it's going to be interesting getting these valves off of here without damaging anything. It's definitely going to be an interesting deal. So let's go inside and take a look and see what tools we need. Alright guys, so these are the tools that we're going to need for changing both the black and the gray water tool. As I mentioned to you earlier, you're going to make sure that you have some type of disposable gloves. These are reusable disposable reusable gloves, latex gloves. So we'll have those on anytime I'm dealing with those valves down there. This is the gray water valve. It's an 1.5 inch black latex waste valve from Valterra, excuse me. And this is also a Valterra valve. It's a 3-inch gray water valve. Now this was already in the camper when I purchased the camper, so I didn't have to buy this, and it looks brand new, like it hasn't even been used. It's got all the screws and the nuts with it, so that's a good thing. And the valves, the seals look pretty good on it too. Brand new, actually. These are the tools you're going to need. For the black water valve, both of the nut and the screw have a 7/16. So for the black water valve, you need a 7/16 inch valve. 7/16. Woo! English. For the black water valve, changing it out, you will need a 7/16 inch socket and a 7/16 inch wrench. Okay. For the gray water valve, I will need a, just there for you, a 3/8 inch socket and a 3/8 inch wrench. You want to put on some clothes that you have no issue with not ever using again, throwing away, or getting really, really dirty. As you can see, I'm wearing the clothes that I wore when I painted the roof, so I should be okay. And that's it, guys. So let's go outside and spray some WD-40 on those screws and let them sit for a few minutes, and then start with the working on this gray water valve. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some WD-40, and I'm just going to spray the nut and the bolts for the gray water and the black, for the gray water right now, because I don't want to have to fight and break anything trying to get this stuff off of here. Alright guys, so let's attempt to close the black water valve here. Okay. I caught my glove there. And I'm going to need a new glove. Okay. Looks like I have the black water valve shut all the way. I said it looks that way. Okay. Now the black water valve is shut. We'll go and now see if we can't flush out the gray water valve here. Alright guys, so what we're going to do now is we have the black water valve shut off. Because I know the gray water valve is broken in the open position, I'm going to go ahead and pour water down the sink here, and it'll hit the gray water tank, and it should flush out whatever's in that gray water tank. So I'm going to take a 5-gallon bucket and just basically dump water down the kitchen sink. Okay, now when I go outside to move the hose, I should be able to feel the water that was out there already. So let's go outside and take a look at that. Alright guys, so let's recap. Black water valve shut, as you can see. Gray water valve broken in the open position. With the black water valve shut, I have gone inside and flushed 15 gallons of water through the kitchen sink, which goes through the gray water tank, which is on the other side over there. Comes through this line and flushes out not only the sewer hose, but also the gray water line if there was any black water in there, because the gray water line was broken in the open position. As you can see, there's a little bit of drippage here, and that is because this thing is broken in the open position. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off this valve and proceed to replace the gray water valve here. So let's start working on that, guys. Alright guys, so let's take off this valve. What we should be able to do now is pull out this valve. There it is. The old valve, and there's a little bit of water coming out. There's the seals on that valve there. Make sure you guys can see that. So yeah, that's the old valve in the garbage. Now we're going to replace it with the new valve. You put these in, you want to make sure your valves are seated good. You gotta be careful here. Pre-seat your valves, maybe. Okay, got my valves pre-seated. Like so. Take some screws and pop them on in. Take our nuts here. And pre-thread them on here. Make sure that it's on there correctly. And we're going to be using a 3/8 inch socket and a 3/8 inch wrench. And we'll just tighten it back on there. Okay. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and snugged up each one of the nuts on here. Now remember, when you snug these down, you do not want them vice grip tight. You want it just so that the nuts will bite into the plastic a little bit and then stop. Because the actual seal, what keeps it from leaking are the seals on the inside, not your tightness on the outside. So snug them up until it just starts to bite a little bit into the plastic and then stop. Okay, so I've done that, and what I went ahead did and closed the valve, and it's been about 5 minutes or so, and there has been no leaks out of this valve whatsoever closed. And I went inside and I've dumped 10 gallons of water down the kitchen sink. So there's two things I'm proving with this theory of dumping the water down the sink now. One, I'm verifying that there's going to be no leaks here. And two, I'm verifying that my my indicators inside the tank that tell me the levels are actually working. And let's go inside and take a look and see what the tank levels say on the inside there. Alright guys, so this is my panel for all of my controls. And if you look here, there's a side for the waste, which says empty. And if you look at the gray says it's approximately 3/4 to halfway full. I think it's a quarter of a way full. So I'm gonna maybe put another 5 gallons down there I think I got a 20-gallon tank in here, so it says about quarter full, quarter to a half full. So I'll put another 5 gallons down there, and that should fill it up. And then we'll go outside and we'll pull the valve and let the water drain from there. All right, guys. So I've put 15 gallons of water down there. The gauge says it's approximately full, or 3/4 to full. So I'm going to go ahead and release the valve now, and you guys should hear the water release out there too. All right, guys. So we have successfully changed the gray water valve. It is not leaking. I was able to release the valve and all the water, and all the water seems to be out of the hose now. So I think we're good to go. I think now we can move on to the black water valve here. So gray water valve changed out. Alright guys, real quick, I wanted to show you the old material that came off of there. If you look at these screws here, let me see if I can focus in on those. Look at those screws, they're all rusted. The nuts are even rusted. And they didn't even have nuts that had like a back wall to them, just basic nuts that went on the back side. So you can tell how old this was. And this is the actual old gray water valve that came out. And, you know, sorry, this is rather disgusting for you guys, but this is part of RV life. And if you don't like it, you can fast forward this portion. But right here you can see the valves. They were okay, but you can tell that black water was actually getting in those valves. It was actually getting in the valves. So yeah, guys, and that guy was actually broken in the open position, completely broken off. So it is now replaced, so we are now good to go. It's your boy,